Why do you open your laptop, look at the thing you're supposed to do, and then suddenly feel the urge to pick up your phone? You tell yourself, just start. It's not even that hard. But your body doesn't move. So you scroll a little, watch a short video, reply to a random message. 10 minutes later, you feel worse. Not sleepy, not distracted, just stuck. And the strange part is, you know you're wasting time. You're watching yourself do it. So now there are two problems: the task you haven't started, and the voice in your head asking, why am I like this? In this video, we're going to break down what's actually happening in that moment. Because what you're calling laziness is usually something much more specific. Imagine this. You sit down to write something important, a message, a report, or even just a few lines. You type one sentence, then delete it, then check something real quick, and now you're back on your phone. There's nothing physically difficult about the task, but it feels heavy. That feeling is where everything begins. Psychologists call this task aversion. It's not about how hard the task is. It's about how the task feels in your mind. If something feels unclear, overwhelming, or easy to mess up, your brain treats it like a small threat. Not dangerous, but something to avoid. So instead of continuing, your brain quietly redirects you to something easier. That's why picking up your phone feels so natural. It's not random, it's relief. Now think about a different situation. You have a full day ahead of you. A few things to do, nothing extreme, but instead of starting early, you delay. You walk around, open and close apps, even clean something that isn't urgent. Time passes, the pressure builds, and suddenly you can work. You focus, you move faster, you get things done. So what changed? You didn't suddenly become less lazy. Your brain just received a clear signal. This matters now. Before that moment, everything felt optional. And optional tasks are difficult for the brain because you have to decide to start, and that decision costs mental energy. There's another layer most people don't notice. You don't just avoid tasks because they're hard. You avoid tasks that feel emotionally uncomfortable. For example, you want to send a message to someone important, nothing serious, but you reread it 3 times, change a few words, then decide to send it later. What are you actually avoiding? Not the message. The possibility that it sounds awkward. They misunderstand you. They don't respond the way you expect. That small uncertainty creates friction, and your brain delays the action. From the outside, it looks like procrastination. From the inside, it feels like hesitation. Now, zoom in even further. There's a very specific moment where everything stops. Not when you're already distracted, but right before you start. That tiny pause. You open the file, look at the blank space, and for a second, your brain goes, wait, how do we even start this? That small uncertainty is enough to stop everything, because your brain is designed to avoid wasting energy. If the next step isn't clear, it assumes effort might be wasted. So instead of guessing, it delays, and over time, that delay becomes a habit. Researchers studying procrastination have found something interesting. People don't delay tasks randomly. They delay tasks that combine 3 things: unclear outcome, delayed reward, emotional discomfort. When those show up together, your brain starts negotiating with you. Let's just do something else first. We'll come back to this. Now is not the best time. It sounds reasonable. That's the trap. There's also the dopamine factor. Your brain is constantly comparing options. Task A, slow reward, effort, risk. Task B, instant reward, no risk, no thinking. Your phone wins every time, not because you're weak, because your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do. It chooses the easiest available reward. And this is where it becomes personal. After all of this happens, you don't say, this task has unclear steps and emotional friction. You say, I'm lazy. That label sticks because it's simple. It explains everything in one word, but it also hides the real mechanism. So the next time it happens, you don't look at the task differently. You look at yourself differently. And that's where the loop starts getting stronger. And once that label is in your head, it changes how you approach the next task. You don't sit down thinking, what exactly is making this hard to start? You sit down already expecting resistance. So when that small pause shows up again, you treat it as proof. See, I knew it. Now the task isn't just a task anymore. It becomes evidence about who you are. That's why even simple things start to feel heavier over time. Replying to a message, starting a short assignment, opening something you've already done before. Every time you delay, you're not just avoiding the task, you're reinforcing an identity. So the first shift is not about trying harder, it's about changing what you look at in that moment. Next time you open something and feel that pause, don't ask, why am I so lazy? Ask something more specific. What is unclear right now? Because most of the time, there's a missing step. Not a big one, just a small piece your brain can't see yet. Instead of work on the project, your brain needs write the first sentence, open the file and name it. List 3 points. It sounds too simple, but your brain doesn't resist action. It resists uncertain action. There's another adjustment that changes things quickly. Right now, your environment is full of easy exits. Your phone is within reach, tabs are already open, notifications are waiting. So when that moment of friction appears, your brain doesn't need to think, it just switches. To interrupt that, you don't need discipline. You need a delay. Put your phone slightly out of reach, not in another room, just far enough that you have to stand up. That small barrier creates a pause, and that pause is enough for your brain to reconsider. Most people think productivity comes from doing more, but a lot of it comes from making distractions slightly harder. Now think about the phrase, I'll do it later. You've said it before, everyone has. But later, it's a way for your brain to escape the current discomfort without fully rejecting the task. Instead of saying later, replace it with something real. I'll do this at 3 o'clock. I'll do this after lunch. If there's no specific time, your brain treats it as optional again. And optional tasks are the easiest ones to avoid. There's also something subtle about energy. Some days, everything feels harder, even small things. You try to push through, but your brain keeps slowing you down. That's not a motivation problem. That's a capacity problem. If you didn't sleep well, if you made too many decisions, if you've been dealing with people all day, your brain has already used up a lot of its control energy. So when you sit down to focus, there's almost nothing left. Instead of forcing a big task, scale it down on purpose, not as a trick, as a match to your actual capacity. On low energy days, don't aim to finish, aim to touch the task. Open it, write one line, read one page. That keeps the loop alive without triggering resistance. Over the next few days, try watching one thing. The moment right before you switch away. That pause, that hesitation, that urge to escape. That's where everything is happening. If you can stay there for a few seconds longer and take one small action instead of switching, you start breaking the loop at the right place. Not after the distraction, not after the guilt, right at the beginning. And when you start seeing it this way, your behavior doesn't feel random anymore. Once you see the pattern clearly, you don't need to call yourself lazy. You're dealing with something specific. If this felt uncomfortably familiar, that's a good sign. If you recognize yourself in this, drop your experience in the comments. Chances are a lot of people are doing the exact same thing without realizing why. And if you want more videos that break down everyday behaviors in a way you can actually use, you can subscribe here.